I think all of us are going to have blind spots. All of us are going to have some levels of, delusion. I think it's part of the human condition. If the veils were lifted, most of us, as Imam al-Ghazali says, if the veils were lifted, we would be wandering in the forest saying Subhanallah. So there's a blessing in having, the veils that Allah has placed upon us. But we should ask Allah at least to, أريني الحق حقا وارزقني اتباعه وأريني الباطل باطلا وارزقني اجتنابه. I mean, it's one of my favorite du'as. I actually was asked to write in a multi-faith book on people's favorite prayers, and I think that's the one that I put from the Prophet ﷺ, because it's such a comprehensive thing to show me the truth as truth and then give me the ability to follow it, because there's a lot of people that see the truth and they don't follow it, and show me falsehood as falsehood, because a lot of people see falsehood as truth, and give me the ability to avoid it. So we just ask Allah, and like I said, prayer on the Prophet is a really powerful way of yuhaddib an-nafs, to do prayer on the Prophet ﷺ, to remember the Prophet ﷺ, to try to implement, take on sunan slowly, but take them on. Try to do the different sunan throughout your life. Just add sunan and try to keep them as prophetic practices. The occasional prayers that we just did, those are really beautiful ways of just remembering God, and they're not easy to practice. As somebody who really does try to practice them as much as possible, that you forget, and sometimes you remember afterwards. You forget. Sometimes you go into the water closet, as they say in Europe, and forget to put your left foot first, and then say Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-khubuthi wal khaba'ith when you come out, right foot first. I mean, those things, are becoming mindful, right? Becoming a dhakir, and they're really powerful ways of just becoming more present. And the more you do that, the closer you get to following the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, the less delusional you're going to be. And I really believe that, And then his compassion is really important, because a lot of people have these outward sunan and they don't have the inward sunan, which is a big problem, right? Just to have the inward sunan of humility and also shafaqa, rahmah. I mean, he's rahmatan lil alameen. He's the mercy to all the worlds, to the animal, to vegetable, the mineral. He's a mercy to all of the world. So, I mean, it's a good question. They're not, the heart in our tradition is the intellect. So there's a khilaf about where the heart, the intellect is centered. Is it the brain? That was Abu Hanifa's opinion. The other three imams said it's actually the physical heart. We know now in neuroscience that there are definitely connections between the brain and the heart. The heart is an amazing organ. The fact that it's independent of the central nervous system. I mean, it's quite amazing that it has this, these organs have an independence that you can actually have an organ transplant. You can have somebody else's heart and it will be functioning for you. And then there's the all or nothing, the heart has this all or nothing law, right? It's either going to go fire or it won't. It's an all or nothing organ. So the intelligence of the heart is real. Astafti qalbak walaw aftawka an-nas. Ask your heart, even if people give you fatwa. Ask your heart. There's a real truth to heart intelligence. And a lot of people are cut off from their hearts. What we would call there's a certain type of intelligence that is, it's the intelligence of somebody who would, when a scientist who when they develop the napalm bomb, the napalm bomb, and then they find out, that the Viet Cong are actually building ponds in their villages, so when the bombs come down, they can go into the water because the napalm was diffused by water, so it wouldn't burn them once they got into the water. So then they developed waterproof napalm. That has nothing to do with the heart. But obviously somebody had to think to be able to do that. So that's thought completely cut off from the heart. Because no real human being could do that. They would resign. There's no human being that could do that. That's a demon. That's shaitan al-ins that would do that. And the same with the neutron bomb. The neutron bomb was developed here, like right down the road. And it was developed to kill all the Arabs and leave all their oil installations intact. So it's like a bomb that doesn't destroy any of the infrastructure. Anybody that could do that is a demon. Aerial bombardment is demonic. The Prophet ﷺ would have never sanctioned anything like that. It's demonic. Non-discriminatory killing like that. I mean, battles are battles, and that's why the Prophet said towards the latter days, he just said, break your swords and break your bows. When are those going to be applied, those hadith? People just think the Prophet said them for no reason. I mean, I'll defend my house, but I don't know, a nuclear war, I'd rather go with the first blast. I don't want to be around for the aftermath. And these idiots, I mean, they're walking into World War III because they're really not smart people. And I've been around enough of them to know that firsthand. They're not bright people. I mean, we had genius people, highly educated people that fell into World War I and II. These people are of a different, they're just not that bright. And you can, لا تعرفنهم في لحن القول. You can just tell when they speak. And that's what Allah says. You'll know them by the subtext of their words. They can't even speak properly. And إذا تكلم رجلان تبين العطار من البيطار. If two people speak, you know the veterinarian from the human physician, based on what they say. So, we should be praying because it's crazy times. I mean, what's happening in Taiwan is very serious. And 90% of the most sophisticated chips in the world are made in Taiwan. If Taiwan goes, and they'll detonate all those factories. They're not going to let the Chinese get those factories. They're trying to build the factories here right now, the chips, because they outsourced everything, and now they realize there's this major security risk. So, people have to just really, whatever comes. It's all from God, and we have to accept that. But humans, if they're not in this tradition, they're very dangerous. So for us, the heart and the intellect they're the same. لهم قلوب لا يفقهون بها. They have hearts, but they don't understand with them. So, and obviously, it's not the physical heart. The Prophet said, "Ala fil jasadi mudgha." So this mudgha is there, right? A lump of flesh. إذا صلح صلح الجسد كله وإذا فسد فسد الجسد كله ألا وهي القلب. So if it's sound, the whole body is sound. If it's corrupt, the whole body is corrupt. So that's the physical heart, but he was analogizing it to the spiritual heart. That if the spiritual heart is sound, then the soul is sound. If the spiritual heart is unsound, then the soul is corrupt.